centers are getting picked up pretty quickly.
That's two of the top centers. That's that's why I'm throwing Morgan Frost into this as well.
I was thinking that too.
He appeared on the trade bait list, and it's like,
people need centers.
He's turning himself into something. What do I actually think Morgan Frost is, though, versus what I think they could get for him? Man, if it's anything like Monahan, and like Monahan's 29, he's a little younger. Now, he hasn't had the long-term success that Sean Monahan has had, but upside and put him in a role, like if you put him on a functioning power play or something, like a power play 2, suddenly that's good. Like,
you put him on a team with guys that can finish, and he's going to be very valuable to you.
The Morgan Frost one's interesting because, like, Scott Lawton, like we talked about before the season, there was actual value for him. And after this Monahan trade, you're thinking, okay, well, someone's got to want lots. But the Morgan Frost one's interesting because we've seen him improve ever since the whatever argument happened in John Tortorella's office there. But he's a young player. But like you mentioned, if someone's willing to offer the assets, how are you going to say no?
For a guy who just... I think maybe there might be something more there with him than we thought.
Yeah.
But I still question if he fits into the long-term future.
You just got to MCW him, man.
So somebody in the chat makes a good point. So, okay, teams in the league need centers. Centers are getting moved right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have centers that other teams might want. We also need centers.
Yeah.
So, like, if we do end up trading Lawton and Morgan Frost or one of the two, that's another hole at center that the Flyers then have to deal with. So, like, how are we solving that problem? Are we drafting centers?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's why you're loading up on picks. And there's always the possibility, like in the Lindholm trade, where you get actual players back.
Yeah.
How far away they are from the NHL. Like, maybe they're a few years in. Maybe it's another team's Morgan Frost, a reclamation project.
Yeah.
Maybe it's prospect. Like, it's not just, like, futures aren't just second-round draft picks. Like, you can get actual dudes for that, too, who might be able to come in like an Owen Tippett. And it's like, oh, yeah, well, he hasn't really established himself, and now you give him that opportunity. Maybe he's just as good as Morgan Frost, but on a cup-contending team, they're not, like, playing the development game. You know, they're just throwing... Like, Scott Lawton is who they want because coaches hate not knowing what kind of mistakes you're going to make. Like, coaches deal with a Scott Lawton. It's like, yeah, he's not that good, but I know what he's going to do. It's like we always said about Brandon Manning, like, not good, but know exactly where he's going to be. You know, if I can't guess what your mistakes are going to be, then I don't want to play you.
Yes.
If I can guess, well, you're a cemented NHL player. Like, I just think there's a possibility here for the Flyers to extract some real value for guys that aren't going to really be that big a factor.
I mean, they're definitely listening on literally every player.
Yeah.
So I have to believe that if Danny Briere gets...
if they shop Carter Hart, then they're accomplices.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yes, I did see that. That was a hilarious take.
The idea, I guess maybe because we're so engrossed in it and the Carter Hart rumor has been going around so long, but like the entire hockey world has known about the 2018 scandal for years.
Yeah. And
that's why he didn't get traded.
Right.
Do you think, like, look at what's going on in net for Toronto? And they were like, oh, yeah, we actually just don't want him based on his ability. They'd be winning the President's Trophy if they had Carter Hart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone knew.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, man.
Everyone knew there was something going on.
Everyone knew.
But anyway.
Yeah, we don't have to get all that again. Anyway.
I just found that. I was like, what are you talking about?
They're listening on everybody. And I have to believe that if Briere gets a good enough offer for any of these guys, they're going to get traded. So it's just a matter of
he's
what
been doing good on trades,
offering.
too. So he's definitely trying to find the best deals.
Do you think, like, the trade deadline's still over a month away? It's Friday, March 8th, I believe. Today's February 2nd.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe this is just special circumstance, a couple teams needing a couple things, like the Jets have been without some guys, and the Calgary situation where they're like asking players, do you want to stay or we're trading you? And Vancouver just being like, well, we're in. So they've made two trades already.
Yeah.
Like, do you think this is just special circumstance, or are things going to start heating up a little bit?
So I feel like the last couple of years, the trade deadline has kind of gone this way. Like, the actual day has been a bit of a dud, but the weeks leading up to it, things start to get spicy. And maybe it's just starting a little bit earlier this year because there do seem to be, at this point in the season, a few teams that you absolutely know are going for it. And so they're like, well, what the fuck are we going to wait for? We know what we're doing. Let's just go. And so it makes sense that things are happening now. I'm not sure if there's going to be like a ton of trades happening, but I would imagine that just like last year, most of them happen in like the 2 to 3 weeks before the deadline and not on the day of, which sucks because it used to be fun when all this stuff happened. I used to take off work.
No,
every
there
year.
was a few years ago. There was a trade deadline, and it was when I was still with Sons of Penn, and we like all met in David Katai's basement, and we were like getting ready all day. We were like, we're gonna hammer the. Not just the Flyers made no trades. No one made any trades, and we just got shit-faced and went to the game that night.
Incredible.
It was like,
That's beautiful.
It was just like, we wanted to work.
Can we recreate that here?
I think we're doing a show that day. I actually don't know. I think we're doing a show that day. Yeah, but if they don't tell me I have to, I'm gonna not do it. So. maybe. But yeah, it was I just see like Holmgren always used to do it like it was like the Tuesday before. There was like a specific date that Holmgren made all of his moves on every year, like 3 years in a row.
Was it? It's June 23rd, isn't it?
But it was like in season.
Oh, okay.
There was like the Tuesday before the deadline or something, and this is now like we're a month out still, and teams seem to be pulling the trigger. Do you think this makes Danny Trigger happy, or it puts him in position like? When all the dust settles, there's going to be multiple teams. Like, there's no one left except Scott Long.
Yes, that's the thing. I think that, especially with the centers, the way that they're going early like this, if that continues to happen, it is going to put Briere in a good position at the deadline because there's not going to be a lot to pick from. And if teams know that, hey, the Flyers are pretty much totally open to anything, you might have some teams willing to overpay for guys that otherwise might not have been moved at all.
We all silly like the mayor.